All right, we start in the Free State, where ANC members say the party has again violated its own constitution by proceeding with the provincial elective conference. The group says the conference has been reconvened in Parys in the Northern Free State despite unresolved disputes in no less than 84 branches. The members, mostly supporters of ANC presidential hopeful Cyril Ramaphosa, are expected to file an urgent application with the High Court in Bloemfontein to request it to nullify the conference. The group's lawyer, Hanno Becker, says the ANC has failed to comply with a court order on November the 29th. All right, for more on this, we cross to our reporter, Ntakwana Ngatane in Parys. Good afternoon to you, Ntakwana. Just give us the background, how we got to this point.
Well, Francis, what we can say is that this particular elective conference here in the Free State has been due since May, and it has been postponed time and time again. The last postponement came after last week when 29 branches had gone to the High Court in Bloemfontein demanding that this particular conference not be held because the branch nominations or branch general meetings had been irregular, and as a result meant that the particular conference coming here would then not be procedural as well. So the High Court ruled in the applicant's favor and demanded that those 29 branches be rerun. We understood yesterday when we met with the Secretary of the Free State, and that is William Bulwana, that 28 branches had rerun, but one branch in Virginia was unable to run because it did not co-orate as of yesterday. So as a result, 28 of those 29 ran. But we understand also today that, as you've indicated, 32% of the 300 odd branches of the Free State are now again going to the High Court in Bloemfontein to demand that this particular conference be declared null and void because it was constituted, or it is unconstitutional, and that it does not constitute the amount or conditions that make it legal. As a result, we are now waiting to hear if that particular process will affect what is expected to happen here today. Now, what's expected to happen here today is that the nominations, at one point last night, we understood that they were going to happen last night and that they would be uncontested. And of particular interest is the chairperson and premier, and that is Ace Magashule, who's running again this time around. But we understood that was going to happen last night, but then very late into the night, after 12 towards 1 o'clock a.m., we were then told that the delegates had decided that they would postpone all of those processes, including the commissions and everything else that's supposed to happen at this conference, to this morning, 8:30 a.m. Now, we are past 12, and as it is now, all that's happening inside here is just singing. Nothing is happening at the moment. Francis?
Ntakwana, what happens if this isn't resolved, if this doesn't happen before the weekend when the national elective conference is going ahead? How does it feed into that?
Well, this is one of the questions that we asked Secretary General Gwede Mantashe when they came out of the NEC this past weekend. We asked him, what would this mean that this particular PEC in the Free State is now illegal, because it would mean that it has overrun its course. But then he said there's no such thing as a void in the management of the movement. So as a result, what this would mean is that this particular PEC, until another one is elected, is still legal. It would go to conference. But again, as we say, from what will come out of the court, we don't know whether the court application, they're saying that they're taking it to the court on an urgent basis. We do not know at this particular point in time if the court will hear this application today, tomorrow, but probably Thursday. But that means that there'll only be a day to the national conference. So as a result, everything at this point very fluid in terms of whether or not the Free State will be represented and by whom at that particular conference in Nasrec. Francis?
Is this part of the broader theme that we're seeing in several provinces? For people who haven't been following the nuances, it sounds again like you've got two potential leaderships supporting the two candidates, one on the side of Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, one on the side of Cyril Ramaphosa.
Yes, this is actually emanating from that debate, because what happened initially was that when the branch nominations were run, or the branch general meetings were run, it was to determine who will represent, or who the Free State was nominating to become the next leader of the ANC. Now, it is out of that process of the branch general meetings where now these branches are saying those processes, some of them were irregular. Now, what we find is that the 29 branches that went to court initially to declare this particular conference as, or to demand that this particular conference shouldn't happen, were the branches that were saying that they were supporting CR17, and that is Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa. But what also happened was that when they won the actual court case to say that the conference should be postponed until the branches were rerun, the Deputy Chairperson Thabo Manyoni then came out to say that in fact what they had demanded was that they, or rather the members who had gone to court, he had clarified at that point in time that they were the members who were supporting CR17, and they felt that the branch general meetings did not happen, or rather there were irregularities in the running of those branch general meetings. So at the core of what is happening here is in fact this debate going to the national conference, the main elective conference in December. Francis.
Finally, very quickly, so right now we don't know if this provincial elective conference will go ahead today or not.
Well, at this point in time, as I say, from what we understood from last night, this particular conference was supposed to reconvene at 8:30 a.m. We were then told at 8:30 that it would start at 9. But as I say, as you can see from those visuals coming from inside, what is currently happening is that the members are still waiting for the meeting to reconvene. But we don't know whether it is because they're waiting for the process that's happening in Bloemfontein, or it's just a normal delay. Because even yesterday, when we thought the meeting would start at around 10 a.m., it ended up starting at around 5 p.m. But there was registration and credentials that happened before the meeting actually started. So at this point in time, we do not know if this conference will go ahead, but we will find out, I suppose, in the next hour or so.
Yeah, and we'll check in with you throughout the day. Thank you very much. Ntakwana Ngatane in Paris in the Free State.